Hi, my name is Purvis, and today I'm going to be demonstrating the administration of an IV piggyback medication. So the first thing I'm going to do is wash my hands, and then I'm going to go ahead and go over my situation. So my patient is Fiona Friedman. She's been admitted 3 days ago because she got scratched by her cat and she has developed cellulitis, so we're going to be giving her Vancomycin today, which is an antibiotic. So after I've gone over that, I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to check my MAR to my physician's order. So we have Fiona Friedman, right patient, May 3rd, 1971, May 3rd, 1971. She's allergic to morphine. I'm just going to note that all the orders are double signed and properly transcribed. So I'm just going to compare here. So we have Vancomycin, right drug, 500 milligrams, right dose, IV, right route, Q12H. It's written here twice. One of those times is now, so I can go ahead and give that medication now. So I'm just going to put my physician's order aside. I'm going to wash my hands, and I've already grabbed my right drug from the Pyxis. I'm just going to make sure it's not expired, and it's not expired. So I'm going to go ahead and do my first check here. So we have Vancomycin, right drug. So we have Fiona Friedman, right patient, 500 milligrams. So this is a 1 gram vial. I'm going to be reconstituting this with 20 mLs of sterile water for injection. So I'm going to need to drop 10 mLs of the solution to get my 500 milligram dose, so that's correct. IV, this can be given IV, so it says for intravenous use only, so that's correct. Q12H, it hasn't been given yet at the correct time today. It's written twice. I can go ahead and give this medication now. So after I've done that, I'm going to wash my hands and I'm going to go over my PDM. So we have Vancomycin. I'm just going to take note that it's a vesicant. It's an antibiotic. It can be given by a student nurse, so I can go ahead and give this. Usual dose, so I've gone ahead and weighed my patient and we're giving a safe dose for this patient. So maximum single dose 3 grams and maximum daily dose 6 grams. We're not exceeding that. So it's supplied as 1 gram vial, so 1 gram at 20 mLs for reconstitution, final volume of 50 milligrams per ml. So like I said, I'm going to be giving 10 mLs of the medication. So we have IV intermittent peripheral, so I'm going to see this graph here. So we don't have any fluid restrictions and it's a peripheral IV. So we're going to be doing 500 milligrams in a 100 ml mini bag. So I have my 100 ml mini bag here. I'm just going to make sure it's not expired, and it's not, so that's perfect. Normal saline is compatible, as it says on the PDM that it is compatible, and that's what we have running at 25 cc's an hour on the primary, and it's compatible, so that's good. So after I've done that, so we're going to have 110 of the final volume and over 30 minutes. So we're going to do 220 milliliters an hour to get our the correct dose over the 30 minutes. So after I've looked at all of that, I'm just going to also just show you my calculations so that you know that I've calculated the right dose and also calculated the right flow rate. So after I've done that, I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to wash my hands and I'm going to grab my drug that I've already checked if it's expired, and I'm going to grab my 2 sterile waters. Both of them are not expired, so that's correct. I'm going to need 2 because they're only 10 mLs and I have to drop 20 mLs. So the next thing I'm going to do, I'd wash my hands again, and I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to grab an alcohol swab, and I'm going to swab the top of these for 30 seconds each in a circular motion and let them dry for 15. While I'm letting them dry, I'm going to go ahead and I'm just going to open my contents here. This can go in the garbage. So I'm going to be drawing back the full 20 ml that I'm going to be inserting into here with the air to make the pressure system. So like I said, I've already cleaned these. Okay, once I've got all I can get out of this one, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to draw back the 20 again. And like I said, I've already cleaned this. Making sure that I'm not breaking sterility here. I'm just going to draw back a little extra so that I can knock out any bubbles. So once I've done that, I'm just going to recap. So that's good. Knock out any bubbles. Pull back a little bit. Okay, and then I would do this over med waste. I'm just going to push up to my 20 with no bubbles. So we have 20 mLs with no bubbles, just so you can see there. Okay, so once I've done that, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to swab this top of this one for 30 seconds in a circular motion and let it dry for 15. And then I'm going to reconstitute. Okay, so once I've reconstituted, Go ahead and put that aside just so I can go ahead and give my medication a quick rotation here, making sure it's all mixed. We don't have any sediment at the bottom. So after I've done that, I'm going to swab the top again for 30 seconds just to make sure that we're sticking with sterility here. Let it dry for 15. I'm going to draw back the 10 because that's what I need for my final dose, or for my correct dose. I'm going to go ahead and insert that. I'm just going to draw back a little bit extra so that I can knock out any bubbles. So after I've done that, do my scoop method, so we're good. I'm going to knock out any bubbles, pull back, and I'm just going to do this over med waste. Okay, so once I've got to 10 and we don't have any bubbles, I'm going to show the camera again. We have 10 mLs. Okay, so once I've got my 10 mLs, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to get my label that has all of my information on it, correct information, and I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to take my label, I'm going to take my alcohol swab, I'm going to take my syringe, oh sorry, I don't need that yet, my label, my medication, in the syringe, my medication here, and then my MAR. So I'm going to go Fiona Friedman, right patient, Vancomycin, this is Vancomycin 1 gram, I had to drop half of this, which is 10 ml, so that's the correct dose. So Vancomycin, we have Vancomycin in here, 500 milligrams, so half this vial, 10 ml, so that's the correct dose, and I have 10 ml in here with no bubbles, so that's correct, and on here I also have 10 ml, so it's IV, this can be given IV, this is going to go in an IV piggyback, and this is going to attach to the IV piggyback. It's written Q12H, it's written here twice, one of those times is now, so I can go ahead and give this right now. So I can go ahead and put these back, and I'm going to go ahead and grab my right mini bag. Like I said, I've already checked that this is the correct mini bag, so 100 ml of normal saline, and we've checked that it is not expired. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to grab my alcohol swab, and I'm going to swab the port for 30 seconds in a circular motion, let it dry for 15, and I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to still my medication, not breaking sterility. Okay, there we go, so that's correct. I'm going to take this and it's going to go directly into the sharps container. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm just going to lightly rotate this medication, make sure it's fully incorporated. So after I've done that and we know that it's fully incorporated, I'm going to go ahead and I'm just going to put my label on. So I'm going to make sure I put it on the right side that's not blocking any of the information. So after I've done that and I've got my label on, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to gather my supplies to go to the bedside. So I have my mini bag, I have my MAR, I have my alcohol swabs. These medications can go back. Medication and sterile water. I have my alcohol swab, I have my mini bag, I have my pen, and I have my correct tubing. So once I have all my supplies, I'm going to wash my hands and go to the patient's room. I'm going to enter the patient's room. Upon entry, I'm going to make sure that I, like I said, wash my hands. I'm going to do my entrance safety check, making sure the bed's in the lowest position, patient's in no distress. So after I do my entrance safety check, I'm just going to put down my supplies here, and I'm going to go ahead and I'm just going to do my check with my wristband here. So we have right patient, so we have Fiona Friedman, right patient, May 3rd, 1971, right birthday, and I'm going to ask for normal confirmation of the name and birthday so that she will tell me. I'm also going to ask about allergies. She says morphine, and that checks out. We also have a wristband for morphine here. So after I've done that check and we've gotten all the information correct, I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to check the IV site. So palpating for any phlebitis, extravasation, everything looks good, no leakage, no pain, everything's open properly, and the line is infusing. This line has been dated in time, so we're good. It's not expired. I'm also going to check my primary infusion, so it's normal saline at 25 cc's an hour, which is correct. So we got that, and it's not expired, so that's good. So after I've double checked all of that, I'm just going to ask the patient to excuse me so I can go ahead and do my third check here. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to compare my medication, my label, and then my MAR. So we have Fiona Friedman, right patient, May 3rd, 1971, she's allergic to morphine, Vancomycin, right drug, 500 milligrams, right dose, IV, this is an IV piggyback, so that's the right route. Q12H, it's written here twice, it hasn't been given yet at this time, so the time is now, I can go ahead and give this medication. So after I've done all that, I'm just going to go back to the patient and explain to them about the procedure. So they're getting this medication for their cellulitis. It's an antibiotic. I'm just going to ask them if it's okay that I give them this medication. They say that it is fine, so that's the right to use. I'm just going to explain a couple side effects. So wheezing and pruritus were a couple of the side effects that were listed on the PDM. So if they have any issues with those, they can just call me back and we can reassess them. I'm also just going to be assessing the site of the cellulitis before giving the medication so we can assess the therapeutic effect. So after I've done all of that, I'm going to grab my mini bag and my tubing and my alcohol swab, and I'm just going to go to my pump here. Like I said, checked everything, everything's good. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to grab my hanger and I'm going to hang my primary solution lower than my piggyback. I'm going to grab my tubing and I'm going to spike my bag. So making sure I don't break sterility. This is sterile. Sorry. This is sterile and this is sterile, so I'm going to go ahead and spike that, making sure that I'm not breaking sterility. And we didn't, so we're good. Okay, so once I've done that, I'm just going to put this medication down. I'm just going to make sure that this is closed so that I can go ahead and attach this to the port here. I'm going to take my alcohol swab and I'm going to swab the alcohol port, the Y port that's behind the Baxter pump, because this is the right one for secondary. So I'm going to grab this and I'm going to swab for 30 seconds in a circular motion and let it dry. Not letting go of this because we don't want to break sterility. And I'm just going to take this, not touching that, and we're good. So once I've done that, and we make sure that we haven't broken any sterility here, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to take my mini bag and I'm going to put it lower than our primary so that we can back prime. There we go. So once we get it going there, and we make sure that all the bubbles are out. Okay, so we're gonna make sure all the bubbles are out. All the bubbles are out. I'm just gonna make sure that this is only half full. So that's good. I'll make sure this is open, and I'm gonna hang this. At this time, I'm gonna date and time and put my initials on the tubing so we know when it expires. So after I've done all that and make sure that everything is flowing properly, we don't have any bubbles in the system, I'm gonna go ahead and go to my pump. So I'm gonna go secondary. And like I said, I have, my calculations here. And we're gonna go, so the rate is gonna be 220 and the volume is gonna be 110. And we're gonna go yes, so we're gonna go confirm secondary and we're gonna go start. So once that's infusing and we know that that's good, I'm gonna check the chamber for 3 drips. 1, 2, 3. So once we see 3 drips, and I make sure that everything's open and everything's good, I'm going to go back to the patient and explain to them that I'll be back to double check on them in the next little while. I'll also be back at the end of the 30 minutes to make sure that we do the 15cc flush, put in the secondary line. So after I've told them that I'll be back for all those things, I'm going to go ahead and document. So I'll document the time, my initial and my designation. I'm also going to document on the ins and outs and the flow sheet. And like I said, I'll just tell them that they can call me back if they need anything. I did my exit safety check and then we are done.